this UFC 258 card that we picked last week. I ended up going 8-2. One of the fights fell off. Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick. What'd you end up going?
I don't remember, but you did better than me on this one.
Well, we got to know. You picked Mallory Martin.
I did, yes.
Did you pick Phil Rowe? You pick Gabe
No, I
Green?
picked Green on that one.
We both picked Hadalfo Rivera, so that was wrong.
Yeah, that one got us. That got everybody.
Everybody. I picked Ricky Simone right too, 30-27.
So
you picked 29-28.
Oh yeah, all right.
But we're not going to count that. Did you pick Ian Heines?
No, I picked Gastelum.
Did you?
Yeah.
You picked Macy Barber?
Nope, picked Grosso.
And you picked Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
So you went 7-3. I went 8-2. Still not bad.
Yeah, close.
I almost all the ones that I picked though I called like score and everything.
Well, you got the Julian Marquez submission round 3. That was impressive.
Hey, if you bet $100 on that, you win 4,000.
Yeah.
That ended up working out for some people.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I know you were a little nervous in the beginning of that Burns Usman fight.
Oh, hey, who was it? I was like, what? Yeah. And then whenever he got Burns down,
he was afraid of the guard.
He would not go down into the guard. So.
That was kind of what I anticipated. I think that there was a big difference on the ground. I think that stuck with Usman in his head a little bit. And I think that gave Burns more confidence. That was a factor that I factored in. Because if you just watch him fight, I mean, of course, Usman. But I was factoring in some of the psychological factors. And
I was too.
It seemed to be there at first, but then it looked like, Trevor Whitman's a phenomenal coach. And I think he just got Usman back into, like, just throwing his jab, getting back to, what was going to make him, what made him to get the belt, and what he's doing different now that Burns hasn't seen. And that jab just, even from southpaw, he'd switch stances, still hit him with the jab,
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty brilliant.
All right, so I guess with that being said, we're just going to start from the top of the card, work our way down.
Not?
All right, so, Usman, when he takes people down and he holds them there and ground and pounds them, Khabibs them, whatever you want to call it, you could tell he's not ever worried about anybody's ground game. He did not want to go to the ground with him, so that was kind of surprising to me. I knew that Gilbert was better on the ground jiu-jitsu-wise, but I figured Usman would just be able to hold him there, get off a little bit of ground and pound, go back into holding him tight, get a little bit of ground and pound, but he wouldn't even go down there with him, so that was super surprising.
Well, you saw that also in his fight with Maia. So with Maia, he was very similar. He was very apprehensive. He wanted to keep Maia in turtle, beat him up there, and then as soon as it started looking like guard, boom, out of there,
Smart.
And I think that was part of the reason I think he was trained with Burns. He understood how high level some of these guys' ground games are. If you don't train with somebody like that, or you haven't yet, you might just think that you can treat him like another jiu-jitsu black belt, And if you're beating up jiu-jitsu black belts all the time, and then you got a guy like Burns or Maia, and you think they're the same, they ain't the same, Those are really good jiu-jitsu black belts that are now MMA, like real MMA black belts, like MMA jiu-jitsu.
With that being said, if they have never trained together, Kamaru would have probably went into his guard. How do you think that would have gone?
I think Burns would have ended up getting a good position out of it. I think. Well, if they'd never trained together before,
They
together.
Have that. He wouldn't have had that.
Yeah,
mental.
I don't think Burns would have had that confidence. I agree. Yeah, I think he would have fought like he normally does.
I do too. Yeah. And I think that he would have won like that.
Yeah, I expect Burns to fight better with this one because of having that confidence from training.
I agree. All right.
And it looks like he did it first.
So that one I got right. You got wrong.
Yeah. All right, you got one on me.
Next one, Alexa Grosso versus Macy Barber. I got so much shit on Instagram from people like, how do you think Alexa Grosso is going to beat Macy Barber? She's coming up from 125, and Macy Barber hits hard, and she's so much bigger than these 35ers. Or was it 115 to 125? Yeah. I can't remember what weight class they're in.
I think they're 125.
125. So, Alexa Grosso moved up from
115.
Yeah, 115. But
Grosso has good fundamentals,
Yeah, no, I agree. But Macy Barber just hadn't fought the competition that she's fought.
Yep.
And, she beats people and she has that pressure. But what happens when you fight somebody that's a little more technical than you and that can hit angles and get out of the way of all your strikes that you're coming, because you're pressing in so hard, you're pressing forward so hard that you can't – if they hit an angle, you're just going past them. They're going to land some strikes. And
also throwing super hard combinations from 10 feet away.
Yeah. It was like – how we always talk about Michelle Watterson. How she throws, and the girl doesn't move, and she's still 6 inches short on her punches, but she's throwing them as hard as you can. You got to get your range right, or if I don't know if you're just trying to make it look like you're throwing punches and not actually trying to get in range.
Maybe just hope she run into one of them.
Yeah, I don't understand. I didn't understand that, but yeah, she's got to get her range a little better. Other than that, she's got super, super high potential.
Oh, yeah, man. I loved what she did in the third round. She knew she was losing. She came out there in that third round looking for take somebody's head off.
Oh,
and
100%.
I mean, not many of the girls do that. You know, like there's not a whole lot of girls that can throw like her. So, I mean, she can really hit hard, and she's not afraid to hit hard.
Yeah, her and Amanda Nunes are like some of the only ones that fight. I don't want to say like a man because it's kind of demeaning to women, but fight with aggression like that. Yes. Which you do see, like, girls' fights, I do agree, like, they can get nastier. Like, the girls will go and, like, trade and stuff. They just don't have the power. Some of them don't have the power and the
technique. They don't have the testosterone levels, you know. That's a big factor. It's basically the guys, you're just watching people on steroids. And the women's, you don't see any of that. They don't have the testosterone. It changes things.
Yeah. All right. So we both got that one right. 2-0, 1-1 for you. Kelvin Gastelum versus Ian Heines. It was actually a really good fight. I figured Kelvin would finish him third round TKO. With that being said, I know Ian's super tough, like the dude, but I figured Kelvin would finish him just because he's had so much experience fighting upper top 3 championship guys. And that didn't come down to that. It ended up being a decision.
Which is what I picked.
Is that what you picked? Well, we both picked the fight. If you want to go by that, I picked a lot more right than you did.
Well, you were bringing that up a minute ago, so.
If you want to pick like, all right, we can go like that. So you get you a half a point on me right there.
All right, yeah.
All right, well, what did I call? I called Usman to win. Didn't I call him by third round TKO? He finished him in the second. All right.
Yeah, sounds right.
No, he finished him in the third. Half a point for me.
We'll have to look that up and verify that you called that.
I remember verbatim saying that. You can look it up after. So with that being said, I picked Alexa Grosso unanimous decision as well. So right now I'm perfect.
Mm-hmm. Up to Gastelum.
Yeah.
Was perfect.
Until then, I picked Gastelum, third round TKO. He ended up getting a decision. Super, super good fight. He won unanimous, but it was still a close fight. Mm-hmm. Ian was in there trading with him. What are your thoughts on it?
Man, it was just everything I thought it would be. A great fight. I love the fact that Ian came out there and tried to take him down right away. So I mean, it turned out to be a really exciting fight. It was definitely everything I hoped for. It was awesome. Kelvin just showed that he is a higher ranked fighter for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? But Ian showed a lot of good fight IQ. Thought he had a pretty decent strategy. He's got solid skill. I mean, he's good, man. He's always fun to watch. He's just a little bit outclassed in that fight.
All right. Moving on. Ricky Simone versus Brian Kelleher. Picked this one perfect, too. 30-27. You said it was going to be 29-28.
Yeah,
Ricky.
29-28.
We both picked the fight right. I just picked it.
You picked the scorecard.
Scorecard, yeah. So, Ricky Simone, doing what Ricky Simone does, comes out, good pressure, a lot of head movement, mixing in takedowns. Man, he hits that Dominique Cruz takedown, that ankle pick so well.
Man, the pace he puts out there, it's hard to believe he can keep that up when he starts, you know? He keeps it up.
Hey, Brian Kelleher looked good, too.
He did. He fought really good.
He was he landed some of those hooks that knocked people out on Ricky, and Ricky just took him. So, you can't take anything away from Brian. He looked good that fight. Ricky just doing what Ricky does. He's, almost top 10 guy. I can't remember what he's ranked right now. Yeah, top 15.
He's up there. I think Faber was his last one. They gave him Faber matched up good against him.
Yeah.
That was the only guy in the top 10 he matched up good against.
No, yeah.
So they want to get Faber in there.
I'm not going to say it's the only guy he matched up.
The guy he matched up best against, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, both wrestlers good. I don't know. I think Ricky's he's going to be top 5. Well, he'll fight somebody in the top 5 after the next fight, and I don't know how that'll go, but he's good, top 10 material for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on to the next one. Julian Marquez, I picked correct as well. Third round submission. That fight, we knew it would be tough because Maki comes out and puts on hella pressure. He did a completely different game plan than we thought, though. He usually comes out and he'll use the cage and everything like he did in the Contender Series, but he'll strike with you. And like I said, he knocked down that dude he fought in this Contender Series fight or finished him with TKO, body shot. Like I said, I thought the dude kind of quit on him, but not taking anything away from Maki. He came out wrestling the hell out of Julian, and Julian not expecting that at all. Third fight in 3.5 years. And he had to be getting tired in there. I mean, wrestling, it doesn't matter if you're in the best shape in the world. If you're not a wrestler, you get tired wrestling, right? Now, wrestlers get tired of striking, which is why when it came down to the third round and Julian still had a little bit of energy, Maki is a little tired, and he started striking with him. It made it a little different. And then Maki finally got him down again. Julian threatened a submission, got Maki in a different position, and then went with the wood. What do you get him with, the anaconda?
Anaconda, yeah, it's a really nice combination attack. It's one I like a lot too. And you don't get to see it often in MMA. But he went from, if he had one guillotine and then Maki got out of it, but then he grabbed an even tighter one.
Yep.
Because he had him hurt too. He was hitting with punches. And then he got that super tight guillotine, and Maki rolled out of it. They went to this, it's kind of like an inverted north-south position.
Yep.
Where you have dominant shoulder positioning, but you're actually on bottom. But because your head's on top, you can get on top, but you look like you're on bottom. So you look like you're in a bad position there. But from there, there's a lot of submissions you can grab. And my favorite one is to go from the guillotine right into the anaconda. They defend the guillotine by breaking the hands apart. You hop the arm, and it locks the anaconda at a perfect angle where it's really, as soon as he locked it, I knew it was over. It's really hard to defend that one. And he was already, hurt and exhausted from fighting the guillotine. And Julian got that perfect anaconda angle, was able to squeeze and get an easy finish there.
I personally wasn't sure he was going to finish that until he stepped over. He was looking like he wasn't going to be able to step over, and then it was looking like Maki might turn really hard. So when he finally stepped over, I was like, yes, I know he's got it.
Yeah. But even at that angle, it's so hard to turn because their shoulder's right in the perfect spot. That elbow's locked in the armpit. That's the biggest thing with the anaconda choke. If their elbow is up a little high and you can get your arm under their elbow, you can break the grip and you can make space to survive. But if they got that elbow pointing down to the ground and your armpit in that position, it's so hard to deal with. Even if you did turn him up, he'd still be in that choke.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tough one at that angle. The only thing I was worried about was he was on the hand. I noticed he didn't have like the wrist deep lock, but it was still pretty deep.
Yeah.
So it was a nice one, man. One of the nicest ones I've seen in the UFC.
Well, shout out to the homie Julian Marquez. Yeah. Good stuff. I hope you got a bonus. I didn't check and see if you did, but I hope you did.
I'm sure. Well, he got the Valentine with Miley Cyrus' bonus.
Oh yeah,
right?
Tell Miley Cyrus not to be bullshit. Hit you up on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Tell her shave her armpits. Come holler at you.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Shocker. Messed up everybody in the world's parlays. If you would have bet on this guy to win by arm and guillotine, you probably could have bet $100 and been almost a millionaire. Rodolfo Viera, but versus Anthony Hernandez. Fluffy. Fluffy had to take some, I'm not going to say damage. He had to take some grueling pressure right out of the gate. Got taken down, got close to putting an arm triangle a couple times, which was your pick. Gave his back, got close to getting a rear naked choke a couple times, which was my pick.
Mm-hmm. So we were just arguing about who was going to win.
We were arguing about how he was going to win.
Or rear naked choke. That was the argument.
How he was going to win.
Yeah.
We knew who was going to win.
Yeah. I meant who was going to win between us. He had rear naked choke. I had arm triangle. That was the only thing we were thinking about, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, man, hats off to Hernandez. What a phenomenal performance and day for that guy. You know, to be able to survive, people don't realize, he looked like he was getting his ass kicked, and then, Hadalfo gassed out. Man, Hernandez made that happen, and to be able to do that against Hadalfo, I don't think people realize how impressive that is. Hadalfo's top game pressure is legendary. I mean, he might be, from that position that he had Anthony Hernandez in, he might be the greatest jiu-jitsu he's ever had, like him and Gracie. And we saw the same thing happen to Gracie in UFC, too.
Well, what about Hickson? Hickson actually went undefeated.
Yeah, Hickson did go undefeated in MMA, but against guys that didn't know jiu-jitsu really, And so
it was MMA at the time, though.
It was. Yeah.
I think Hickson was the best jiu-jitsu fighter.
Hickson's for sure a legend. No doubt about that. But if Prime Hickson was going to do a jiu-jitsu match against Prime Hadalfo or Prime Hodger, there's no question who the favorite would be.
If you haven't watched the documentary, what is it? Breathe.
Choke.
No, choke. Yeah. Choke with Hickson Gracie. Go watch that.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's very good.
But Anthony Hernandez, you said it was Hernandez that got him tired. I think Hernandez just did his part on getting out of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Hadalfo gassed himself by trying to go too hard. You don't do that. He doesn't do that in jiu-jitsu. If he was in a jiu-jitsu match, he's not going that hard for the finish that fast.
Yeah.
He's going to bide his time, do this and that, and understand. He needs to understand that he got the guy down. He doesn't have to go that hard that fast. You got 5 minutes to work with.
Yep.
You don't need to get tired. But he wanted to get in and get out as quick as he can. He didn't want to take any damage. was definitely, I'm not going to say scared of the stand-up, but he did not want any part of the stand-up, which is understandable because Anthony Hernandez got good stand-up, and he's an MMA fighter. Hadalfo's not really an MMA fighter. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but
he's getting there.
He's getting there. When it got to the feet, though, he's a jiu-jitsu person.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So Anthony, I feel like it was more on Hadalfo's fault as to why he got gassed instead of Anthony. Anthony did good about getting out of stuff. He got in some, I'm not going to say tight stuff. He was never threatened where I'd call it like a really close submission, but he got into stuff where I felt like, oh, it might get there. And then he'd turn out, get his back to the mat, whatever. So with that being said, Anthony did good. Hadalfo, I feel like, did worse than Anthony did good.
Yeah, and that's for sure the truth, you know. But I'm looking at it from a little bit different angle.
I'm not taking anything away from Anthony. Yeah. Anthony did great to get out of those against one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. But Hadalfo just didn't bide his time and use what he knows how to do like he does in jiu-jitsu. He just got Cody Garbrandt crazy on the ground. is what Gilbert Burns said he got when he hurt Usman. He said, I got Cody Garbrandt crazy. Well, he got Cody Garbrandt crazy on the ground until he gassed out. Yeah. And then when it got to standing, Anthony was putting it on him.
For sure. And, I guess I was looking at it a little bit differently because I've seen many of my jiu-jitsu heroes cross over in MMA and have this happen before. So, I mean, to me, if Anthony was able to survive, and able to make Hadalfo miss his best moves like that, to me, that was predictable. I just didn't think that was possible. I didn't think, Hadalfo gets you down and gets those positions, you're done, So, I mean, the fact that he was able to do that, we've seen a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, when they get the ground, it's like, if you get up, you can pretty much win because they put everything they have into finishing. They're like, if you get up, I'm dead. So that's in their heads. They already put everything they have, all their adrenaline, all their energy into just squeezing. And it's like, we see white belts do this in their first jiu-jitsu tournament. They'll come over, I can't move my hands. Yeah. It's like, well, why were you squeezing this grip? So, you just literally put all of your energy into that one little grip that was useless, grab it lighter, use your energy on the stuff that counts, And when you go into MMA, you see the top-level guys do the same thing in an MMA ground situation because they're more worried about the stand-up, and it feels different. It's not a guy trying to get their guard on you. It's a guy trying to get up. That doesn't really happen in jiu-jitsu that often, No, yeah. Most of the time, they're just trying to attack you from the bottom, and you just got to, stop the attacks. You don't have to hold them down. Yep. So it's a different kind of scenario, and then you have to worry about the striking on the ground and on the feet, and that's really what Rodolfo wasn't using. I mean, if he had sat in the mount, like you were saying, bide his time, instead of just trying to lock in an arm triangle against a fresh opponent over and over again. Usually you can do that, right? And that's what he's done. He's blown through everybody like that. Hit him a few times.
I feel like he should have trained with Damian Maia some for this fight because Damian's got that down somewhat.
Damian's phenomenal jiu-jitsu for MMA. And, so have a lot of the guys that have transitioned like him. He's been doing that to everybody. One of the things I really like about Hadalfo, and, I always talk about is how he's almost from day one, he got the MMA wrestling part down really good, better than most of the guys, So his double leg on the cage looks better than Maia's, and Maia's been doing this in MMA for 15 years now,
Yeah.
And so Maia knows I was really happy about that.
Maia knows how to get somebody down and not gas himself.
Maia knows how to MMA fight. Yeah. And that's what Hadalfo needs to add the rest to his game now. And I hope he takes a little time to really develop his game and come back with more comfort, and we can really see what he's capable of in mixed martial arts.
And in the beginning of the fight, when I saw Anthony Hernandez fight off the very first rear naked choke and then get put into the arm triangle and get out of that, I was like, man, my whole mind started to change. And you're like, well, yeah, no, you're saying that after. But it was during the fight while he was still on the bottom losing. I was like, you know what? If he can do this for the whole first round, he's going to win the fight.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any way he did it for the whole first round.
I know, but you can't say I didn't say that.
Oh, you did, yeah.
And, fuck, that's what happened. Dude came out.
See, I had my first worry whenever he put his feet on the fence and Hadalfo didn't react properly. Because that's exactly how Hadra Gracie lost. So if you watch Hadra Gracie's match with Tim Kennedy, Hadra Gracie, same kind of situation. And Hadra was a really good MMA fighter too. But just not really used to the cage. And Tim Kennedy was able to use the cage to reverse positions and survive. And Tim Kennedy's phenomenal on the ground. So, I mean, it's a little bit different. But that was where I was like, oh, man, Hadra's going to have a hard time.
The jiu-jitsu world's going crazy right now.
Oh, yeah. This is way more insane. He got submitted,
No, that's what I'm saying. And I think that was on purpose. Anthony Hernandez could have TKO'd him.
Could have, yeah.
But I felt like he wanted to.
Oh, he wanted that submission. Oh, yeah.
And I would have done the same thing if I was in that position. So, hey, good job, Fluffy.
Yeah, brilliant.
All right. That was the one we talked about the longest. We would have figured we'd talked about the main event longer. But moving on to the next. No, that was the one everybody lost their money on.
Yeah.
Biggest win of Anthony Hernandez win our career right there. He needed that too as well. Let's go Bilal Muhammad, Diego Lima. We both called Bilal. He was the second biggest favorite on the card behind Hadalfo. Hadalfo was minus 500. Bilal minus 450. But this fight was close. It was a unanimous decision. I want to say 29-28 or 30-27. I can't remember.
30-27.
But which I think we both called.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised by that, but it was a tougher fight than you think, just because Bilal doesn't know how to check the leg kicks or the calf kicks.
Yeah.
He comes in with that foot turned in, getting that leg beat up the whole time, keeps having to switch back and forth between southpaw orthodox, makes the fight a lot harder than he thought. But his jab, Bilal is one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. How he's not a top 10 guy right now is unreal.
What rank is he right now?
I want to say he was ranked number 13 then.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, he should be 10 soon.
How he's not top 10 is beyond me. Now, I don't think Diego Lima gets him any closer to that because Diego's not a top 10 guy, and never has been. But he looked good. Needs to work on checking the leg kick or the calf kicks. That's a big problem for a lot of people in MMA, not the UFC, MMA. But other than that, Bilal did what Bilal does.
Yeah.
Why he's one of the biggest favorites on the card.
Yeah, phenomenal pressure, just relentless, output, man, output. You see, I mean, this is why it was such an easy pick for me and why I actually had this one on all my parlays also. So this one and Hadalfo were the only ones I had in all my parlays, and it was Muhammad's pressure is relentless. He's got a great chin, and he just throws so much. And if you look at Lima, he doesn't throw anything. I mean, he just backs up to the cage, throws leg kicks, and looks for the big punches and stuff. And then if he gets you hurt, then he comes after you, right? I guess it's like the Lima side. I wonder what happens when the Lima brothers spar. They just both back up to one side of the cage each and, wait for each other or what? Well, I mean, that's just how they fight. They back up and throw those kicks.
I could probably tell you who wins that. Yeah. It's definitely going to be Douglas, but it's going to be not a super fun one to watch. Douglas is a way better athlete, way better fighter, but they do have similar styles.
Yeah, very similar.
Which is weird because if you look at your jiu-jitsu coach, him and his brother, one's
opposite styles.
Yeah, because one was better on top, the other one had to get better on the ground.
Yeah, might be like that on the ground.
So you would figure that would happen in this.
Yeah.
Like the person that's not as good on top ends up being better on the bottom because he's there on the bottom more often.
I think it's probably because they probably both started striking later on because they were jiu-jitsu guys, really. I think they were trained. So I bet if they're on the ground, it's probably like that. I bet one of them's really good on top and probably Diego's probably good off his back or something like that. But they both learned striking from, the same people and probably developed in the same way.
Yeah. All right.
But great leg kicks.
Yeah, great leg kicks. He was hurting them bad. Moving on, Polyana Viana versus Mallory Martin. Mallory Martin was, like I said, Polyana only had a 32% chance to win, according to Tapology Pros. Yeah. I picked her. You picked Mallory Martin. You thought she was going to win how?
I thought she was going to pull off a decision.
I thought Polyana was going to pull off a decision, but she was out there striking. Her jab looked good. Mallory Martin looked good throwing. As for the 30 seconds that it was standing, she threw crisp strikes. Polyana Viana threw good jabs. Now when she threw her across, her head was straight up in the middle. She needs to work on that. You can't throw here and then throw your cross and have your head straight in the middle. When somebody starts to catch on to that and they throw overhand or they slip your jab or your cross and throw straight back down the middle, you're going to be there to be caught. Other than that, she landed some good shots. Mallory pressured in a little hard. Polyana wanted to go straight to the triangle off where she pulled guard, but she couldn't get the leg over the arm, so she went to the guard. Worked a little bit. We saw that she was working for the triangle. Eventually got it there. Took way longer and harder to finish than it was. What she finished, armbar?
Yeah.
She should have finished that. She should have finished the triangle, pulled down on the head, underhooked the leg. You can see where she tried to underhook the leg. Eventually, she tried to pull down the head and made it look way harder than it was. And I can't take anything away from Mallory Martin. She toughed that out, but that was a lot of technical issues on Polyana's part as well.
Yeah, and on Mallory's part, Polyana kind of allowed it to happen, but Mallory was doing some good defensive motions by taking the leg toward the ground. But, if she had actually put some weight on the calf and put that leg on the ground, I think she would have got out. Because
there's a time where she definitely could have swept the legs.
Yeah, there was a few things she could have done, and Polyana wasn't really doing much to stop it, but she was hanging on to it, and she did start attacking the arm well. And she actually went for that shoulder lock from there, But the problem with that is it kind of turned Mallory in the triangle and took all the pressure off the choke. So she had to switch to the armbar at that point. She managed to do it. Really impressive. But, again, Mallory held out, and they're pretty good. I thought Mallory was going to win just because I saw, when I looked at, who they fought, of course, Polyana's got some phenomenal wins. But, I mean, she beat Rebus with a knockout whenever, it was earlier in her career. Really impressive, by the way. I think, she's one of the best girls in the division. So having a win over her is super impressive.
But that was earlier in the career.
That was early in the career, and it was with, punches. And I didn't actually see the fight. I just, looked up the results on it.
But it was also early in the first round as well. Anybody can get caught. Now, when I say you get caught, it doesn't mean it's a lucky shot, but anybody can get caught. So
yeah, I
don't ever take those. I mean, you got to take them into consideration, but I don't make it a huge point into consideration.
Yeah, unless it happens all the time, like Ngannou.
Yeah, well, that's different.
I don't think she got Ngannou power, but
nah.
But yeah, but it absolutely, I agree with you.
I don't think anybody has Ngannou power but Ngannou.
Yeah, Ngannou and Deontay Wilder. So
I don't think Deontay Wilder has
Ngannou
power. Nah.
Oh man, I don't know.
Nah.
That dude lands. It's
no, he lands, but it's coming from all the way back here.
Yeah,
gotta just bring that thing straight up. But
I'd love to see them go punch for punch on a measuring tool or something.
I'd love to see them go punch for punch in
a fight. Yeah, but so anyway, I was really impressed with Polyana pulling off the win. I think Mallory. I thought Mallory was going to be able to get her down, pressure in, and when it hit the ground, I didn't think she was going to get submitted because while Polyana's got some jiu-jitsu credentials, in MMA, her submission wins are over people that have a lot of submission losses. Whereas Mallory's kind of hung in there with some tougher competition, in my opinion. But it was great to see a nice finish early on the card, and it was a good basic day one triangle. Same stuff everyone learns in their first few self-defense classes, and she just pulled it off really nicely and got a nice finish in the UFC out of it.
If you know me, I'm all about the basics.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
it's basic for a reason.
Moving on, the next fight. It was hard for me to go with Andre Ewell, but I figured he would be able to use that length, that 7 or 8 inches of reach that he had on him, and get that jab out there and work his way out. And him being southpaw, not have to worry about the calf kicks as much. But whenever he went to throw against Chris Gutierrez, he would not just throw his jab, turn his shoulders. He would lean in every time, end up getting caught with a couple of head kicks, getting caught with the knee. I mean, when you have that much reach over somebody, you don't have to lean your head in to get an extra 3 feet of reach. Right? Use that 7 or 8 inches where he's going to miss you by that much. That much is a miss. He doesn't have to miss you by this much. He has to miss you by that much.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? That much. But some people don't understand that, and I felt like he needed to get a little extra reach more than he had, but you don't have to. And Chris Gutierrez, we talked about it, has good calf kicks and good basic striking, kicking, Muay Thai. And, man, his stance switches and everything are just so flawless. He ended up, which never got called out in the first round. Andre Ewell ended up breaking his nose with that overhand left.
Yeah.
And nobody ever noticed that. You could nose is pointed completely sideways. That fixes it in between the rounds. But you could tell that was in Chris Gutierrez's head for that remainder of the first round. But he found out how to get over that and pressured in, almost knocked Ewell out a few times. So congrats on Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, that was a good fight, man. It was same thing as Brandon. I felt even though Andre he's not really like a volume puncher. He's just so long and he throws really good straight punches and he's got a lot of power for the weight class. I mean, super long arms and legs. So he doesn't even look like a normal person, out there for that weight class especially. I think he's got the longest reach in the division, and he leans, so he gets even more reach behind it, So he's really hard to get in on. And
but the lean's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But at the same time, he's southpaw, fighting a leg kicker. I knew Gutierrez switched stances a little bit, but it's not usually the same. But man, way smoother than I thought. Actually, Gutierrez, he earned some real stock points with me in that fight. He showcased some really awesome skill sets that I think are going to take him pretty far in this division. Being able to attack from both sides like that, excellent striking. So I want to see how his ground game is. We didn't really see, neither one of these guys is really known for their ground games. But I haven't seen Gutierrez on the ground at all yet, really. So, I mean, we saw them exchange a little bit on the ground, for takedowns. But, man, Gutierrez, phenomenal striking. Almost reminded me, the way he was switching. He did some, hard switches, but he also hit some of those, soft, smooth switches, like Marvin Hagler.
Oh, you're talking about boxer.
Well, yeah, like, Marvin Hagler, he used to fight southpaw, and then he would he'd steer you towards his power hand, and if he couldn't land the power punch, if you got out of range of his cross, he would just turn it into a jab and switch stances without actually switching stances. And he just started attacking you with the cross from his right. And, man, you don't see that in MMA. Nobody does that in MMA. But, it made Marvin Hagler one of the household names in boxing of his era.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool to see that utilized with kicks in MMA. But he also was hitting those hard switch stances and just blasting up the leg on Ewell. And, Ewell had a lot of trouble with that. It was pretty clear. He kept him uncomfortable the whole time.
Oh, yeah, man. The leg kicks, game changer on that. I mean, it was good that, like I said, he switched stances really well. It was kind of like Corey Sandhagen, really good stance, which is but goes to the calf. So he'd switch southpaw, throw the calf kick on that side. Andre Ewell would step back, he'd kick the calf kick the other side. I mean, it was just a great game plan by him. And I was really – it was really hard for me to pick Andre Ewell, but I figured with that reach and him being southpaw, he might be able to do something. But I was wrong. Chris Gutierrez looked good as ever. So congrats to him. That made me 8-2. All right. Last but not least, Gabe Green versus Phil Rowe. We both picked this right. I think we both picked unanimous decision, which was a unanimous decision, but I think it was 29-20 or 29-28. It said 30-27. There was a round where Phil Rowe had a good round. I want to say it was the second. But same thing. Gabe Green coming out with hella pressure and the calf kicks, man. The calf kicks are a game changer in MMA. If you don't know how to check a calf kick and you're in the UFC, you need to learn. I mean, it's super simple once you figure it out. But if you don't figure it out, it can make a fight go from you winning to you losing real quick. If you don't know how to fight out of both stances and somebody beats up that lead leg, you're not going to do too good out of that southpaw stance. And that's kind of how I went for Phil Rowe. And also, Phil Rowe hadn't fought the who's who in his career. He'd fought, I want to say 95% of his fights were people with losing records. So,
yeah, this was definitely the toughest fight of his career, whereas with Gabe Green, he's fought fights like this before.
I agree. Gabe Green came out, put the pressure on. Phil Rowe ended up taking him down a couple of times and having him in precarious situations. Yeah. But he was never threatened, I don't believe, too much. And Gabe Green looked good. Did what we figured he would do, get back up, keep it standing, beat him up a little bit.
Yeah, it was good card overall. I really enjoyed it, man. Great fights that night.
Oh,
so.
I knew. Yeah. It was a super slept-on card, especially to be a pay-per-view. But I feel like that was one of the best cards in a long time. Yep. Even though they had so many fights fall off. Imagine if Pedro Munoz versus Jimmy Rivera was still on there. Imagine if Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick, where she got ill after weigh-ins. Or Bobby Green versus Jim Miller and Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. Man, that would have been an even better card. Who knows? We would have probably lost all of those.
Yeah, but card went good, man. So 7-3, 8-2. I'll take it, I guess.
So what's that over the last 2 weeks? We didn't even include the one with the Connor. He cut the Connor card. The last one. So you went 4-1 the week before. I went 5-0.
Yeah. No, wait. You 0-5.
Oh, no.
I went 4-1 on the one where you went 0. You didn't get any of them. But
no, you didn't go 4-1. You went 1-4.
1-4. That's what I meant. Yeah. So we did the opposite of
yeah.
I got 2-3.
Well, on the next one you got 2-3. I went 5-0, and then I went 8-2 on this. So I'm 13-2 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you're
7-3.
You're 7-3.
Well, now I'm 10-5.
10-5.
Yeah.
So 13-2, 10-5. We're gonna make our picks for this week's card coming up. They'll be out Thursday. Make sure to check it out. Get some bets in. We'll put, like we did last week, we'll put together a little parlay. Let you know what we think, who's going to win. Let us know what you think in the comments.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay. What about this one, B? We got that sleight of hand, no magic tricks. And that adrenaline, well, that's the fix. Unless it gets my heart pumping, ain't no competition. Anybody who want it can come get some ambition, baby. Where there ain't no ceilings. If you feel some type of way, hey, get out your feelings. It's a duel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Max a million. Talking dollars, that's the minimum. The max a billion. Whoa, bees killer in my corner. We armed with them bars. Get the bump and set it off like alarms in them cars. Before you think about it, stop in the octagon. Before you end up getting dropped in the octagon. Respect is in order and you better respect it. Or it's off with his head. Guillotines for breakfast. Good night. I done seen successes and my seed successors of this legacy. You're looking at a king, a legend.